Never miss your chance to know what the latest sports news is in town, chances to win tickets, and knowing what is going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. Follow KFAN 1003 on all of our social channels like Instagram, TikTok, and X now. Stay connected and follow the sports leader, KFAN.
You wouldn't really need anything more than that. What do you need Peacock for? What do you need YouTube for? What do you need Infinity, Xfinity? DirecTV. What, you don't need any of that. All you need is the iHeart socials, especially the fan.
By the way, the vibe I'm going to read after the next break, I need you in that seat. So if you're going to go to the bathroom or whatever, I need you back before the break's over.
What's the power trip doing now?
No, it's not power trip related.
All right.
Can I give you a preview?
Yeah.
Joe Bonamassa.
No, it's not Joe Bonamassa, Treasure Island Resort Casino. That's where it's going to be. Joe Bonamassa. The legendary one, Mark Rosen, joins us now.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
It's been a long time. Since last year.
Well, the old
let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Vikings season comes to conclusion. We dim the lights, draw the curtain, fade to black. In a nutshell, your thoughts on the 2025-26 season?
What could have been, what maybe, anyone who watched what went on this season, I don't like when people kind of break it down. I guess it's true. Had the Vikings stopped the Bears on that kick return, they would have potentially been the number one seed. I'm going, yeah, and who would have played quarterback in the first playoff game if McCarthy?
And what if the Bears hadn't collapsed in the third quarter?
That's what I'm saying.
Fourth quarter of game number one.
You can play that what if game all year. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, we know what parity. Just looking at the playoff picture right now. I mean, it's that's right. You'd be hard pressed to say this is the. We don't have a Kansas City Chiefs team right now. Even a Philadelphia Eagles team from a year ago, I think. I was saying this is a clear cut favorite to not only win the conference but to get to the big game. And I think with the Vikings, it was spits and starts, and they had issues with their defense early in the year. Obviously, they closed tremendously at the end
against a lot of weak competition.
Yeah, it did. But I mean, I don't care. It doesn't mean
four of those games were against three of the games were against three of the worst four defenses in the National Football League.
But they were so dominant that's I agree. I mean, I think back to I had some people say, well, where was this team? Well, remember the Atlanta Falcons came in here and they ran the ball down their throats, starting with the first series of the game. Now, a lot of times you say teams make adjustments and they get better as the season goes along, and they had some injuries, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, they finished at 9-8 for the 5-game winning streak. It feels a little. It still felt empty. I mean, to a great extent, when you have high expectations after last year, and it just doesn't click. The Jefferson situation, not being able to get him. Obviously, it starts in to a great extent with the quarterback situation, but the offensive line, pretty much every team we're talking about has had a series of crippling injuries at one time or another. So you can't use that as a reason, because that's just. When
that's a loser's lament.
Yeah, they keep expanding the schedule. They're talking about 18 games. Where are they going to find the bodies to last that long, even before the playoffs? I mean, the way that these players are dropping at an alarming rate sometimes.
It's why teams that have clinched playoff spots don't play starters the last week or two. Because Green Bay. You don't play starters because the game is so violent and injuries happen so often. That
not much at stake.
You can't do it. You'd like to play your starters if it was baseball. You would, because you're trying to give the fans a show. But it's like, we can't take that chance. We've got bigger fish to fry. We're trying to advance in postseason play.
I don't think this season has any more necessarily a longer shelf life than even the gaudy regular season record they had last year. And then we know what happened at the end. We've seen teams, obviously, like the New England Patriots. I mean, teams that go from 4-13, they can turn it around. They can be somewhere in the middle. The Bears, another perfect example.
They were dead last year, and now they win the division.
Every season, every twist and turn and roster changes that are always forthcoming can make a difference. But to answer your question, overall, pretty disappointing. I mean, honestly, a lot of facets of the game, starting with the quarterback situation. Defense didn't play well early. Lack of running game, not getting Justin Jefferson involved. Just a lot of things that left you kind of feeling like a 500 team, and that's kind of who they are and where they are. I mean, when I was at the game on Sunday against the Packers, I mean, I went in there going, it's just, I didn't feel like buyer's remorse, like, God, this what could have been with this football team. They were that close to being, a Super Bowl type team, and then they competed well against, the teams that are still playing in their division. Obviously, the Packers, and not from Sunday's game, but and the Bears, they played them tough twice. We know what happened with the Lions situation, but looking around the league and looking around the conference, certainly they're not in right now. They're not in Seattle's rarefied air, or I think the Rams. Or the Eagles.
How close do you think they can? I know it can change on a dime, but we don't have a quarterback established. We don't have a backup quarterback established. We have a left tackle who's on a self-imposed pitch count. I don't know where he's going to be.
No.
Our offensive line is still. We have a center who's really good but can't stay healthy. He should retire. I don't know if he will.
Probably will.
There's if Harrison Smith goes, we have to get a new safety. They're and they're not the only team in that situation.
No, that's
trust
what
me.
I'm saying.
But there are a lot of things to fix compared to some of the other teams. The Bears seem to be relatively in a good spot with you. So does Green Bay. I know Detroit plummeted to last place after being, but they still have their core skill position players. They have Goff. They have their wide receivers. They have their two running backs. Laporta will come back from injury. Mm-hmm. The Lions secondary is actually really good when they're healthy. Those guys should all be coming back. So I think it seems like a lot of the other teams in the division, the other three, have the rosters are a little younger. They have some more certainty, where the Vikings, I know we have some certainty, but I think there's a lot of work to do, I think, by the front office and the coaching staff.
Well, and this is a very crucial, and we can say that every year, but I think in more particular because of the quarterback situation with McCarthy going into this offseason and next year, where questions will not be answered. When J.J. McCarthy's lifting weights for the next how many months to try to maybe put on 15 pounds of muscle to just get physically stronger.
I read he lost. Did I read that correct in a story? He lost 40
I can't
pounds
believe that.
because of because he couldn't work out during the knee injury rehab.
Remember they had a couple shots of him on the sidelines. He looked like the ball boy. I mean last year when he couldn't play, and it's like how is it? I don't know, someone that young to lose a kind of, and honestly, you'd think it'd go the other way, like, because I don't have the mobility, I'd be eating Big Macs every day, and I'd be putting on 30 pounds instead of losing 40.
You're a Big Mac or a Whopper guy?
Well, I haven't had one for a while, but I would probably go with a Big Mac.
Yeah. For me, it's a tough one. No, really, because I do like a Whopper.
That's hard to.
I mean, I think McDonald's has. They still, for me.
I still go for the fries.
Yeah, I was going to say. I still think for me, day in, day out, I think their French fries are the best from the fast food places. But I like me a good Whopper.
Well, getting back to the discussion about the Vikings, the good news about having your season end it did on Sunday is that there are a lot of those meetings going on right now. The exit meetings, interviews going on with the players. The Wilfs stuck around for a few days.
Oh, they did?
They always do.
Oh, okay.
To take part in it. The coaching situation. Flores is.
What do you think's going to happen there? You saw what Krasinski said, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I did.
Well,
there's been a lot of.
Well, here's what Tenneby sent this to me. This was earlier. This is the phone call I've been waiting my entire life for. Hold on, Tenneby. I'll find it. You sent this to me earlier. This was from Tenneby sent this to me. It's from Bring Me the Sports, right? And it says, it's got a quote from John Krasinski in it. It says, quote, "I can't tell you the exact nature of the conflict or of the drama behind the scenes, but there's something going on that does lead me to believe that it's not a foregone conclusion that Flores would stay here to be a coordinator, that he could leave to go elsewhere, which I think would be a disaster for the Vikings, and it would be a terrible look." That's his opinion about the disaster and the terrible look. Somebody just sent me a text that Ben Lieber suggested on a couple of occasions Dallas could be a destination for Brian Flores. What do you think?
Well, I remember I mentioned to you a couple months ago there was some stuff going on behind the scenes. Right. I don't know what it is with Flores. I don't think it's enough that it's going to tip the scales. KOC obviously wants him back. I think Kwesi wants him back. I don't know the extent of it. I really don't. But Brian Flores is, to make a lateral move to go to Dallas as their defensive coordinator, they don't have the talent the Vikings do defensively right now. And Jerry Jones is the general manager and the owner. And I don't know if that's. I mean, it's a lateral move. I'm sure they could potentially offer him more money. And
Jones would be the kind of guy that if he really wanted the money's no object to him.
No. But that I don't know if that's satisfying. I mean, whether or not. I mean, the Vegas head coaching job is one that seems to be the one that would get the most interest right now. But
Tennessee says Tom Brady, when he played for New England, Flores was the Didn't you say he was the defensive coordinator?
At one point, I'm sure it wasn't the whole
they've had a relationship,
right? So,
and I hope he gets the interview. I mean, that's it. He's got for the head coaching. I think he's got a couple of weeks here to get those interviews. The Atlanta Falcons are looking for a new GM and a head coach, and that was a pretty good football team this year. And I think they have more defensive ability.
But here's what I'll say: the intriguing part about Dallas would be. Their offense seems to be pretty darn good. Everyone likes Prescott. So maybe for Flores is like the challenge of Dallas probably has a few pieces defensively. Draft, I'll build my defense here because right now he doesn't have an offense he can count on. He just doesn't. Their offense has been not very good. Will it get better? We don't know. But the Vikings offense has been kind of sputtering because of the quarterback situation. But let's take a break. We'll come back.
All right.
We'll talk more about the Vikings and other topics as well. Here on the Common Man program with Common 10 to be and Mark Rosen on the Fan.
Witness undeniable blues rock brilliance when Joe Bonamassa lights up the Treasure Island Amphitheater.
Joe Bonamassa.
It's really happening.
Don't miss out when the 5-time Grammy nominee takes the stage alongside Government Mule.
Government Mule and Joe Bonamassa.
On August 15th. Secure your tickets today at TICasino.com.
Metallica, Megadeth, and Five Finger Death Punch.
Joe Bonamassa.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He's 10 to be. Mark Rosen is here as well. Did you read the Kevin Seifert piece from a couple of days ago?
I did.
ESPN. Why Vikings plan for J.J. McCarthy failed and what's next. And if with the just much of it, I think we kind of already sort of knew. But it does seem as though, and if everybody else was aware of this and I somehow missed it, then that's the way it is. But I think the Vikings, Seibert is suggesting, I think, that the Vikings kind of read Danny Dimes wrong, thought he would probably stay, and then he decided to leave, and was like, well, they've already let Darnold go. And of course, this had been suggested before that they felt they didn't, it must have been something about the money and maybe the way Darnold did play against the Lions that the Vikings didn't think he was the guy because they decided, we're not going to franchise him.
Right.
He deserves to go out and make some money for what he did. So go out and get, if you can sign as a free agent for 3 years or 5 years or somewhere else, go ahead and do it. So he did. They were hoping Dimes would be here. He leaves. Now all it was McCarthy, and they still decided they didn't want to go the Rodgers route. And according to Seifert, it was for a couple of reasons. One would be that there were some people in the organization that didn't think Rodgers had the talent left to be able to lead a team to the big game, and that he's not really much of a mentor because following game plans and stuff, because of his experience and his ability to read defenses, he's going to start ad-libbing him. I think that's preposterous. I still think you can learn a lot from a 4-time MVP. But I guess what it kind of sounds like is Danny Dimes kind of threw him for a loop. They thought he would be here. There would be Danny Dimes and McCarthy, so that if it didn't work with McCarthy, you could go to Dimes. Dimes had different ideas. He thought he had a better chance to compete against the Richardson kids. Is that the kid's name?
Anthony Richardson.
And for all intents and purposes, Danny Dimes made the right decision for him personally. Yeah,
he did.
At least for the first year.
The money was the same, if anything, the Vikings may have offered him a little bit more money. But the thing that kind of keeps kind of grating at me a little bit, and I guess if you put the Vikings hierarchy under a lie detector test, is the concern, I think, and it's all, water over the dam now, but when McCarthy, and you just talked about him losing the 40 pounds, they had that shot of him once in a while on the sidelines a year ago, when he literally missed all of last season, and I don't mean just the games, he wasn't even able to practice. What made the Vikings convinced that going into this season, without any ability to kind of absorb, I don't care how much homework you did or film study you did, on-field practice, not getting the timing down, not working on his fundamentals, all that kind of stuff just didn't happen. And to go from that to being the starting quarterback at the beginning of this season, to me, was a quantum leap and a leap of faith that they took that he can do the job. And, that's a lot to ask of any quarterback of starting out their career, of missing your entire rookie season of games and practices.
But I think there were a lot of people, fans, media, and the team itself that thought, nope, got to do this because he's the guy. We got to see what he has. A lot of people said that.
No, you're right.
I did not. I like the idea of going Darnold, going Dimes, or going Aaron Rodgers. Not that I didn't like McCarthy and didn't think it was the future. It's like you were built to win now, and you think, and rookie quarterbacks have done it. There have been rookies that have come out of the gates and been brilliant, but it doesn't happen very often.
No, and I think they just felt like the clock starts now. They wanted, if they had again put the brakes on the start of J.J. McCarthy's career this season, had Danny Dimes won the job and McCarthy sitting on the bench for X number of games, maybe most of the season, because Danny Jones was playing so well. Then what? Then you go, then you just have to accept the fact that you drafted a kid and you're going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait his turn, a la Jordan Love, to take the reins. And the Vikings management head coach decided to go elsewhere. And I get asked a million times, like everybody else, what do you think of J.J. McCarthy? I still don't have an answer to it, other than the fact that I tweeted out on Sunday when I'm at the game going, injuries happen, and I know they can be fluky, and a lot of quarterbacks go through them, and we see it even this year with some top-name quarterbacks that get hurt for various reasons. But until he can sustain the ability to stay in the game and not, have a hand injury, an ankle injury, he's dealing with concussion, being smart about going out of bounds. I mean, just look what happened in the first quarter of that game. He's just coming off this stuff. And he thinks he's, Hulk Hogan or something, going to the sidelines, throwing a shoulder into a defensive back from Green Bay, and then, of course, getting a taunting penalty. And those are his instincts, and it's hard to change them, but you got to mature, and you got to grow up, and you got to protect yourself. And that was not smart on any level of what he did. So, I don't know. There's no answer to what McCarthy's going to be, what his ceiling is going to be at the moment. I mean, he had moments even the other game. He threw a pass that was like, his fastball was like Nolan Ryan, like down the middle, down the sidelines when he was rolling out, and he put a lot of zip on it. That Sims was at the tight end down the 2-yard line.
I think that's what it was.
That was a hell of a pass. I mean, I'm not just isolating one play, but we didn't see enough of that, and that some of it, a lot of that was because he wasn't on the field. So here we go again. And I mentioned kind of coming in here going, you know what? I was reading the whole contract situation with the guy named Kirk Cousins and what Atlanta is going to be dealing with here, and I was talking to the coroner's office about it. I went, this would be perfect Viking stuff because Cousins already backed up Michael Penix. He's accepted that. Atlanta's kind of paid him off. They're looking for a new coach, new GM. Cousins would be making like 2.1 in salary this year. He's already got his guaranteed money, and that's going to be paid out.
So if he were to go to a different team, you're telling me if he were to go to the way you understand it, the way his contract is currently constructed, he would be getting paid a massive amount from the Falcons, and whoever signed him would only have to pay him like $2 million a year?
I will read you exactly what the article says.
Okay, who is this article?
This is from Field Yates, who's a very reputable source. Okay. While Cousins of the Falcons, who are undergoing a search for a new GM and head coach, could agree to another amended deal to keep him in Atlanta, one logical possibility posted by salary cap experts is the team moving on from him before March 13th via a post-June 1st release. Such a release would split the dead money in Cousins' contract over the 26-27 league years. Additionally, by agreeing to reduce Cousins' base salary for the 2026 year, the Falcons create more cap flexibility. Cousins, who's now 37, starting the final 7 for Atlanta through 10 touchdown passes. So in other words, let's see, where did I see the money? Here it is. The restructured would reduce his 2026 base salary from a non-guaranteed $35 million to just $2.1 million, a difference of $32.9 million. That amount equals the increase in his 2027 compensation. I know it gets complicated.
No, I mean, the
restructure does not impact any guaranteed money already owed to Cousins. Well, the team that would sign him wouldn't owe him that.
Would not owe him that?
I don't think it's given the highly unlikelihood that the Falcons or any team that would acquire Cousins via trade before March 13th would want to be on the hook for that $67 million. Decision on Cousins' future could come before that date. So the way I'm reading it, unless someone else wants to correct me, is that a team like, the Vikings or any other team that would sign him, Cousins is still going to get paid. He's still going to get his non-guaranteed his money, but his salary, his base salary, would be $2.1 million.
He'd be attractive to any team, no matter what you think of Cousins for $2 million. Yeah,
and he's kind of that. He's lived that life now. I mean, and I don't know that.
But does he come here when they say, "Hey, Kirk, we want to sign you for $2 million, but it still could be McCarthy"? Because and I don't think, dude. Well, Cousins. Everybody told me Cousins was bitter when they drafted Penix.
He said he was bitter.
Right. Well, okay. Well, then do you think he's going to want to come here and back somebody up? I don't think he wants to do that.
Things have changed a little bit. Obviously he had a back. He backed up Penix. I don't think he was causing ripples in the organization.
But my point is if he was unhappy about that at 37 years old, I would think he wants to still start. He doesn't want to back somebody up and tutor some. I don't think. And
there very well might be better opportunities out there. I mean, he played relatively well. He threw 10 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions during 7 starts. He wants to keep playing. He kept the door open to return to Atlanta, but damn well they want to get Mike. Much the way that the Vikings and Penix is dealing with Atlanta's very similar situation. Draft a quarterback high in the draft, a lot of talent, but he's been injured and now he's coming back. And so if you're Atlanta, and I don't care who the new head coach is, what are you going to do? You would start a 37-year-old quarterback or want to get Michael Penix back into the flow of things? You want to get Michael Penix back in there. And that's the same type of thing with JJ.
Let me ask you one quick question before we go to break.
Sure.
There have been a lot of people that have been very critical of McCarthy pulling himself out of the game early in the second half. Are you critical?
I can't. I'm not living in his shoes. I don't know if he could even grip a football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he pulls himself out.
I know Lieber said something about it. I don't know. I mean, we've seen football players with shoulders, whatever. They get kind of gut through it. I don't know if you can gut through a situation. I can't imagine J.J. McCarthy pulling himself out of the game.
That's why, in all due respect to Lieber and all the others, I think they're dead wrong. That if you're the quarter, he wants to play.
Oh,
he
was desperate.
And if he can't grip that football, what good are you? I haven't heard somewhere somebody said, well, even if he could just hand off and throw shuttle passes, what good does that do the team?
Nothing.
I think from just listening to Lieber, and he's on the sidelines, right?
Okay.
Right.
I think part of his anger is he's seeing things we aren't in terms of the optics.
Oh, I understand that.
Right, like
the towel.
Like he's just being over dramatic, and he's putting a towel over his. You don't need to put a towel over your hand. That's not going to help your hand in any way, shape, or form. It's not mangled. So
that's open for criticism.
He's seeing some of the theatrics that we aren't, and I think that might be influencing his opinion.
That's possible. Right. Plus, he's a linebacker.
He's a linebacker. That's exactly right. I just know I don't know McCarthy, but just from what we do know from afar, from quotes, from what you hear. But I don't think he wants to play. He's not a guy he's 9 for crying out loud. He doesn't want to pull himself out of the game. So let's take a break, come back. One more segment to go. It's Common Tenneby and Mark Rosen here on The Fan.
The Wild wrap up a long road trip this Thursday night as they face off with the Kraken in Seattle. Puck drop is just after 9 p.m. Hear every goal, every save, and every game-changing moment right here on your home for Wild Hockey, KFAN.
Couple 13-14 past, Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tenneby. Mark Rosen here as well. This text on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line says, talk about Cousins. He was bitter due to the lack of communication and essentially lying to him. Talk about the Falcons. Vikings were up front with plans and no ill will exists. He would come in knowing the lay of the land. That's not the point. And I could be wrong. Cousins could be at the point in his career where he says, I'll serve as a backup and a mentor or two. But if he's not promised a starting role by a team, I don't think he signs anywhere unless no team makes an offer.
I disagree. I'm not saying he doesn't want to start. I 100% agree with it, but I don't know how many of those jobs are going to be there unless you're going to Vegas.
But that's what I'm saying. He'll take. If there are no starting jobs available and he wants to stay in the league, he'll do. Yeah. But if there's a starting job available, he ain't coming to back anybody up at 37.
He wants to play.
There's no way, shape, or form.
But I think the day that, going back to the draft again with Penix, I mean, Cousins was stunned that night. We all know that. And then I
still think that's on him. Who cares?
No, I know. I understand that, but I think it depends on, again, he's got a competitive streak in him. I watched, I happened to catch a couple of his games, and he looked pretty good at times for a lot of those games. But I don't know what options he's going to have. And that's just the rhetorical question, other than you can start looking at the quarterback-hungry teams that are out there and who they're going to draft and what they're, is someone going to take the Mendoza kid and ride with him right away? Is that going to be Vegas? You know what I mean? As opposed to bringing in a veteran. And there's, the usual suspects are out there as far as names go, unless you are going to make a gigantic move to try to trade for a Joe Burrow. And you got to have a lot of salary cap available to do that. I don't think it's going to happen.
Here's one that says, is Mark Rosen's podcast still a thing? I'm just wondering, are you doing the Mark Rosen podcast?
Yeah, I did. I did it with Lavelle E. Neal yesterday. It's still on Talk North Sports. It's on iHeart. It's on all sorts of sources, all sorts of the usual suspects.
Right.
But iHeart is the one I want to promote, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So I did it yesterday with Lavelle. We kind of did our 2026 look ahead to all the sports teams, and we talked a lot about his Bears, talked about the newspaper business, which I didn't intend to, but we started out that way, about the clock is ticking on you would chide me or have fun at my expense, which I'm fine with. I'm old school. I like to have a newspaper in my hands. Those days are about gone. I mean, the Atlanta Constitution shut it down. And now with the printing press in Iowa, I think Lavelle was talking about that. If you're covering us, let's say the Wolves game tonight, there's no way in the world that score or that game story is going to be in the printed newspaper tomorrow morning. And it's not even that late of a game, but their deadline's like 5:00 in the afternoon now for, breaking sports news, for instance. If you get a sports page, and that's why it's basically we're looking at is the extinction of the printed newspaper.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about that as well. But yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah, I don't. I gave up on the printed newspaper.
I have too. I don't even want to pick it up anymore because when I do, I usually look for even the entertainment section because but now it's like I just do everything online.
The only newspaper I still my wife gets it for me when she goes to the grocery store on Sundays because I like the crossword puzzle.
I know you are,
and I know I can get it on my phone. I don't like it as well. I like having the pencil in my hand and erasing it because I make a lot of mistakes. But otherwise, I do all of
But think about that's the reason why you're doing it.
And the best thing about is the story. If you're reading today's paper, the one you get this morning,
right? That
news cycle now is so old; it's gone. Every story changes so rapidly and so quickly. To have it on,
again, that's where it's just. And I'm not in their business. I don't know how the revenue works. I know a lot of times people get upset because such and such a story is behind a paywall. Well, how do you think they're making their revenue now?
I don't mind it because I'm in the same business. We sell advertising for our paychecks.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm all for it.
Exactly.
Still think that Oklahoma City Thunder is the
second coming of the Bulls.
Yeah, they're the ones. They're the ones that you prop up and point to and say this is the way an organization can be run. They are 6-6 in their last 12,
they're bored.
And they got destroyed last night by the Charlotte Hornets. What do you think of your Oklahoma City Thunder now?
I guess I'm using the Commons line is lack of effort. That's what you always say about the Timberwolves.
Well,
lack of effort. And actually, Shea came out and kind of said that. Yeah, they got smoked at home last night. They're now 30-7.
But they were coming off back-to-backs. Do you know what the elevation change is from Phoenix into Oklahoma City? Is
not much.
185 feet. Mark, that makes a difference.
Well, you got a point.
And think about this. It's an hour difference between Oklahoma City and Phoenix.
Right.
But it's really 2 hours. But Arizona only does one because they don't have daylight savings time.
Correct.
So now your body's really confused. Am I 1 hour behind, 2 hours behind, 2 hours ahead?
Wait.
That's the reason for the loss.
Yeah. Wait, who'd they play last night?
They played...
did they play Charlotte?
Charlotte, okay. At home. At home.
13-23 team. Well, I mean, again, it's. I heard Chris Finch on with PA this morning, and the PA asked him kind of, do you like where your team is at right now? And he said, yeah, I mean, we're 10 games over 500. They're in a log jam. Really, there's only 2 games separating second place and sixth place right now. And the Wolves are home against Miami tonight. I already saw, now listed as questionable, Anthony Edwards with ankle/maintenance. Now, whether or not he plays, normally Ant kind of plays through that and goes, I got to go play.
He doesn't like load management.
No, he does not. He does not. So, I mean, I don't know why he was listed after this morning's practice, but that's it. And they're playing, Miami.
Well, I'm assuming he really does have an ankle issue.
Oh, I think he does.
Because I think he's made it perfectly clear publicly that he thinks you should play, and he likes to play, and he doesn't want load management. And at 22 or 23, whatever he is, I don't blame him.
So, I mean, they play tonight at home, and they're here Thursday night as well. So, yeah, I mean, the OKC thing is, I guess human nature a little bit. It's pretty hard to maintain that level, and I'm sure they'll be just fine. It's a matter of health. Denver missing 4 starters, and they won last night in Philadelphia against a healthy 76ers team. They won it in overtime. That's quite a Herculean effort for Nuggets, and of course the city of Denver right now is living. Well,
that was what Jimmy Butler calls that. He calls that a rest game. Right? Remember, he was he would say that about the Wolves all the time when he wouldn't play him because he was still chiding the Wolves after he left here. He was I think he called it a rest team. Well, that's a rest game, and that's what Philadelphia was. Denver knew even without 4 starters they could beat Philadelphia, and they did.
Well, Philadelphia was playing with Embiid, and they had the Maxey, and all those guys were playing.
Well, they still knew they could beat him.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's what I think.
So yeah, that's it's again we're talking 82. The Wolves are going through. They had they actually lost a game in regulation. The Wild actually lost a game in regulation last night.
LA. Is this something to be concerned about?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they're at the tail end. They got one more game, a road game in Seattle, and they've managed to keep their head above water, and it's they're doing just fine. I mean, I'll tell you, Brandon understands this better than I mean. Watching the Wild right now, just watching, I thought, well, what's the big deal with Hughes? What
is the big deal with Hughes?
I didn't see him in Vancouver. I never watched him play in Vancouver.
All I know is after 5 games, Vancouver had a better record than we did after the trade.
He is special. He controls. Yes, he's like a point guard out there.
I'll have to believe it. I haven't seen him play.
Yeah, he's very, very good. And I think he's only going to get better.
Tennessee,
I still don't think they're done making trades, right? Billy Guerin's going to pull the trigger on
Tennessee thinks you believe there's a good possibility he's not done, right?
Oh, I think there's a really good possibility. Okay. I mean, when you bring in Quinn Hughes and you need to sign him to a contract extension this summer,
right?
You're playing to win now. Like you want to show him you can contend to win a cup now, and Kaprizov's contract extension doesn't kick in until next year. So you do have cap space to be able to go get a rental this season. They have plenty of money to go get, and they need some more offensive help. I think their blue line's pretty much set. Their goaltending is set. You can use another center or use another scorer.
Sounds good.
Do you think we're winning the cup this year?
It's probably the best chance they've ever had. I think this is their best. It's by far the best core of players that they've had.
And we can do this thing together.
Unfortunately, there's a little thing called the Colorado Avalanche in our way.
Yeah, there's that.
Are the Lanch? Well, we just talked about how the Thunder are now 6-6 in their last 12. But prior to that, would the Lanch be the Oklahoma City Thunder of the National Hockey League, the best team?
Well, now they look like they're better than the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City has fallen off a little bit.
That's what I'm saying.
And the Lanch is dealing with some injuries as well right now. Is Landeskog out for like weeks and weeks and weeks? I got the right guy? Yeah.
Is it Landeskog?
Colorado. Colorado has 3 regulation losses. We're halfway through the year.
But
they played 41 of 82 games. 31-3-7.
What's the greatest record in NHL history?
Well, they got to be on pace for it.
I would think.
My God, that's impressive.
Why is it when it looks like we're going to have a great year, there has to be another team that's like that? Isn't that just Minnesota luck?
Well, then they have to face each other, potentially in the playoffs. It's Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, and they got to go head to head. And that takes a lot of starch out of you, just surviving a series. I'm already making excuses. Win that series, then you'll have a letdown against some other team.
I have some odds that may be of interest to the both of you.
Good.
That's interesting.
Minnesota Twins.
By the way, it just happened a couple years ago. The 2022-2023 Boston Bruins went 65-12-5.
Oh my goodness.
65.
But Colorado's on pace, basically on that pace.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I have some odds that may be interested to you. What do you think the predicted wins are and losses are for the Twins this year? Over under.
Wow. let's start with 500 and go back a little bit, 81 and 81. So I would say the over-under is 74.
This one says 71.5 for wins.
Okay. Wasn't too far off.
83.5 for losses. They are, compared to last year, that's the biggest drop from projected win totals of any team. The Twins, 12, because they were predicted to be, I guess, 80, what would be 71.5 and 12.5. So, there is little to no hope by the odds makers, and I'm sure most fans feel that way, right? Coming off of what's happened the past year, new manager, fire sale.
Yeah, the messaging is the optics, as they say, and the messaging is not good. And they could get off to a good start. You know, Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez and Bailey Ober and Simeon Woods Richardson. That's not a bad starting four on paper. You know what I mean? It's not. I mean, the relief pitching, I'm shrugging my shoulders. I have no idea who's going to be coming out of the bullpen late in particular.
I don't think they do.
And that's the problem. Their everyday lineup, poke holes at it here and there. You got to hope that, again, that Buxton stays healthy. Royce Lewis bounces back, and Keishel was already named to a baseball rookie all-star team. I mean, I think people like the look of that kid, but it's just the feeling like, how are you going to drum up excitement for this team? And when they play here, and I was talking to Lavelle about that yesterday. Driving by when I go downtown, I drive by, look at Target Field all the time, and I go, man, you should look forward to the opening game and the season, spring training coming around the corner.
No, you have to shield your eyes when you go
I have to put my sunglasses on. This when I drive by the front office.
With this win totals, projected win totals, there are still 4 teams that are projected to win fewer games than the Twins. One of them are in their division, Chicago White Sox.
That's expected.
Rockies are expected to win. They're 54.5.
Yeah. 54.5?
White Sox 63.5.
Hey.
Washington National 69.5, and then your Twins at 71.5. So the Twins are not. If this holds, they won't finish last. Well, you can at least say that.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
There's not much to hang your hat on. But.
No, and I look. I'm always going to be a fan. I'm using I want to see the team do well, but it's really tough when there's so much infighting going on. I think there was a lot of infighting that was going on with the Pohlad family that we weren't even aware of. Paying down the debt, the whole thing about the payroll, the TV contract situation that they had, and it all kind of just blew up in their faces. And I think there was internal pressure from some of the Pohlad family directed at the Pohlad family who was involved in the team to say, "Look, we're not doing this anymore."
Well, there's no question. There were quotes from Tom Pohlad, who has now taken over the day-to-day operations of the team, and as a matter of fact, I thought they would. I thought they were worth saving, and if you give me 1 second, I can dial them up because I did. I mean, there was certainly there were some divisions. Here's what Tom Pohlad said. It's been hard on our family. This decision to make a transition within our family has been extremely difficult. It's been hard on the relationship between Joe and myself. It's been especially hard on my dad and my 2 uncles. All Joe ever wanted was to be a part of this organization and lead it and to help this franchise win a world championship. Things change. We had to make a decision as a family. He understands. He's been graceful, kind, and believes that whatever is in the best interest of the organization is best. So we said it caused a strain with the relationship between him and his brother. Yeah. And I mentioned at the time when these quotes first came up, when they announced who the limiteds were going to be, and that they were making the change in the day-to-day operations, and Baldelli was gone and all of that. So these quotes are a couple of weeks old now, but for them to publicly come out, they could have easily, had they wanted to, just said, Joe's decided to give somebody else a try. Joe's got other ideas, other things he wants to do with the organization. They basically said, we demoted him. He's no longer going to run the club. And it caused a division between us. I actually admired Tom Pohlad for coming out and saying that. And I guess Joe, I don't think you would say that if Joe was comfortable with that being out there. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, but I do think there are other members of the Pohlad family who are not involved in baseball and other operations of their family that were going, look, it's costing us a lot of money, and we don't want to do this anymore. as far as paying down the debt, as I mentioned, and looking at the bottom line, which is, again, I mean, I'm not pointing it all towards a TV contract.
So you think other members of the family wanted to sell the team, and they're not happy that they didn't?
I think they wanted to make sure that the payroll wasn't going to go up.
Oh.
You know, I don't know about selling, but I think that as far as spending any more money, no, we're not doing that. We need to pay. Well,
then those people should not have a say in it and should give whatever portion they have, because
get rid of it.
If you're just having a baseball team is saying all we want to do is stay in the black and we don't care about wins and losses, then there's no reason. Yeah, get out of the business, because again, I know you don't. The fans don't have an ownership stake, but they're the ones that are footing the bill. The more that you win, the more the people come. Yeah, that would just be those family. If there are family members that think all we're worried about is not having the payroll go up because we just want to make sure we're in the black, and you shouldn't be in that business.
I think that all came to a head after we've talked about it many times, maybe not in this context, after the playoff win they had. 2 years ago now, was it? I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, I think it was 2.
Target Field was alive. They finally won a series, and it's like, wow,
you
now
could
is
look
the
at
time.
the stadium when you drove by with pride.
I couldn't wait to get down there. I'm leaving the show here. Remember, they're playing at 3:15. And when they decreased the payroll that offseason, that was the smoke signal, fire, 3-alarm fire that we aren't going to try anymore. And now they have to kind of reboot it with some good young players they have, but you're not going to compete at that highest level with.
I don't think so.
With just the young players and no bullpen, at least on paper.
That those other teams in the division, with the exception of the White Sox, Detroit, Kansas City. Now, Chicago's a large market. Why? That's what goes to show you that just being in a large market doesn't guarantee anything.
No, does not.
But Kansas City, Detroit, and Cleveland, they continue to field competitive clubs.
Yeah.
The year the Twins collapsed and missed the playoffs, those 3 teams all qualified. We had 3 teams from the central of the 5 teams make it to postseason play. So those teams figure out a way to field competitive clubs, at least during the regular season.
Milwaukee
once they got to
did this year, too.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. You get to postseason play, it can be a different story.
Right.
If you'll remember, didn't the Brewers... Had they swept like the who did they lose to the Dodgers in postseason play? And they swept them during the season.
They did.
And then once they got to postseason play, it was just the opposite.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your club, the Twins.
I got a few. Spring training will be here before you know it. I'm not going to be there anymore.
I'd love to go down there.
Oh, I know.
Boy.
Kennedy, how about you?
I think it's important for our listeners to hear Twins talk from us down there.
I'm
available.
We're about the only ball guys left in town.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd love to go down there.
I know the area quite well. So do you.
I
know where the golf courses are.
I know where they are.
My only fear of going down there is, like I've heard from Rosenport, like you don't even have time to eat while you're there.
Yeah, that's right.
You're working so much.
Plus, our favorite Italian restaurant that I used to go to all the time for lunch is closed now, so there's no sense in going down there.
I went to an Italian restaurant, Vesuvius.
Olive Garden?
It was in San Diego. It was literally the best Italian restaurant. This side, Italian Gardens in Grandview is my favorite Italian restaurant.
That's a great place.
It's a spectacular place.
Good restaurant.
This place down in San Diego, we went there for New Year's Eve for Deuce's birthday. It was as good
as it gets. How do the tomatoes taste?
Well, they're not as good. Went to a pizza place suggested by your guy Hartman called Bill's Pizza.
Yeah.
Bill apparently imports his flour from Italy.
Well, that's smart too. Yeah.
And
there you go.
It might be the best pizza I've ever had. Bill's Pizza. You don't think any, Mario's Pizza.
Correct.
It was Bill's Pizza.
Yeah.
Bill no longer is with us. I read a piece about him. He fell off the roof of the restaurant while doing work up there, and he died.
Come on. Oh, man.
It's sad.
Lesson learned. Well, it's good to be back.
It's good to see you again. And we'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I bet, right?
Yes, sir.
Rock Talk tomorrow. Brian Oak at 1:30, Rosen at 2:10. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit. We'll see you tomorrow. Stick around. Big Ticket JGR next here on The Fan.
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.